Your friend Josh is going to end up with $180,000 more than you. Not because he's smarter, not because he got lucky with crypto or picked some magical stock. Josh makes less money than you do, significantly less. But by the time you both hit retirement age, that gap flips completely. And the reason comes down to a decision both of you are making right now, in your 20s and 30s, that most people don't even realize is a decision. I'll show you exactly what that decision is and why the math is so brutally unforgiving. But first, you need to understand something about how time actually works in investing that nobody explains properly. Here's the scenario. You're 27 years old. You make $55,000 a year. Not bad. You've got rent, student loans, a car payment, and groceries that somehow cost more every single time you go to the store. After all of it, you've got maybe $100 left over each week. Maybe. And you think to yourself, what's the point? What's $100 going to do? I'll wait until I get a real raise. I'll wait until the loans are paid off. I'll wait until I have enough to make it worth it. Josh makes $42,000 a year, same city, same expenses roughly. But Josh does something different. Josh takes $25 a week every single week and puts it into a low-cost index fund. Not when it feels right, not when the market looks good, just automatically, like a bill he owes to his future self. $25. That's 3 coffees. That's 1 mediocre lunch. That's half a month of Netflix. And over the course of a year, Josh invests $1,300. Now, here's where most finance content gets it wrong. They'll show you compound interest and say, see, it adds up. And you think, okay, it adds up to maybe a few $1,000 over 10 years. Who cares? But that's because they're not showing you the part that actually matters. The part that matters is what happens when you wait. Let's fast forward. You spend your 20s and early 30s waiting for the right time, waiting for more income. At 35, you finally start. And you don't start small, you start big. You invest $200 a week because now you're making more money. Now you feel ready. You invest $200 a week every single week for 30 years until you're 65. Josh kept his $25 a week going from age 27 to age 37. Just 10 years. Then life got complicated. He had kids. His expenses went up. He stopped investing at 37 and never put in another dime. So, let's recap. You invested $200 a week for 30 years. That's $312,000 out of your pocket. Josh invested $25 a week for 10 years. That's $13,000 out of his pocket. At a historically reasonable 7% annual return, adjusted for inflation, Josh ends up with roughly $111,000 from just those 10 years of tiny contributions. You, starting later with 8 times the monthly commitment, end up with about $320,000. Wait, that's more? You won, right? Not quite. Because we're not comparing who ends up with more total. We're comparing what it cost each of you to get there. Josh turned $13,000 into $111,000. You turned $312,000 into $320,000. Your money barely multiplied at all compared to his because yours had less time to compound. But here's the real gut punch, and I promised I'd circle back to that $180,000 number. Let's say Josh didn't stop at 37. Let's say he just kept going with his $25 a week, not increasing it, not doing anything fancy, just the same $25 every week, all the way to 65. Josh's total contributions over 38 years, $49,400. Your total contributions over 30 years, $312,000. Josh's final balance at 65, approximately $332,000. Your final balance at 65, approximately $320,000. He beats you by about $12,000. And he spent $262,000 less than you to get there. But wait, there's more. Let's make this truly painful. What if we use a more optimistic but still historically grounded 9% nominal return instead of the inflation-adjusted 7%? This is where the $180,000 gap appears. Under that scenario, Josh, starting at 27 with $25 a week and never stopping, ends up with around $760,000. You, starting at 35 with $200 a week for 30 years, end up with around $580,000. Josh has $180,000 more than you. He earned less. He invested less. He just started earlier. That is the brutal, unbreakable power of time in compounding. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care that rent is high. It doesn't care that you wanted to wait until it felt comfortable. Time is the one resource in investing that absolutely cannot be bought back. Now let's address the obvious objections, because I know what you're thinking. First, but I don't have $25 a week, and I get it. Things are genuinely expensive right now. But I want you to audit your last week honestly. The streaming subscriptions you forgot about, the delivery fees, the impulse purchases that disappeared from your memory the next day. For most people, $25 a week isn't an income problem, it's an awareness problem. Second, but what if the market crashes right after I start? It might. In fact, it probably will at some point. But here's what historical data tells us. For someone investing regularly over decades, market crashes are actually beneficial in the early years because you're buying shares at a discount. The only people who get destroyed by crashes are people who need the money next month or people who panic sell. Third, but inflation will eat it anyway. The 7% figure I used earlier was already inflation adjusted, meaning after inflation, that's still the real growth. In nominal terms, the stock market has returned closer to 9 or 10% annually over long periods. So let's talk about what you should actually do, starting this week. Step 1. Open a Roth IRA or a brokerage account with a reputable low-cost provider. Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab. Doesn't matter much which one. What matters is that you do it. Step 2. Set up automatic transfers, $25 a week. If you can do more, great. But $25 is the floor, the absolute minimum. Make it automatic so you never have to think about it. Step 3. Put the money into a total market index fund or a target date retirement fund. Don't overthink it. Don't try to pick stocks. Don't wait for a dip. Just buy the whole market and get on with your life. Step 4. Ignore it. Seriously, don't check it every day. Don't panic when it goes down. Don't get excited when it goes up. This is a decades-long play, and treating it like a casino is the fastest way to lose. Here's what I wish someone had told me when I was 25. The amount you start with barely matters. The fact that you start is everything. You can always increase your contributions later when your income grows. You can never go back in time and recover the years you spent waiting. Every single week you delay is a week of compounding you permanently lose. Not temporarily. Permanently. That's not motivation speaking. That's math. Your lower-earning friend isn't beating you because they have some secret strategy. They're beating you because they understood something fundamental about how wealth actually builds. It doesn't build through grand gestures and big lump sums. It builds through small, consistent actions that stack over time in ways your brain isn't naturally wired to appreciate. So here's my challenge. Not to me, to yourself. This week, before you spend another cent on anything non-essential, set up that $25 transfer. Make it automatic. Make it boring. And then let time do the one thing it's exceptionally good at. If this kind of breakdown is useful, there's more where it came from. No pressure either way. The clock's already ticking. The only question is whether you're on the right side of it.